Ukraine News. Welcome to your YouTube channel, Russia Ukraine. If you are new, subscribe and activate the bell.
Biden called an emergency G20 meeting. Biden calls an emergency meeting with world leaders attending the G20 summit in Indonesia over the missile attack in Poland. The meeting was attended by the leaders of the United States, Germany, Canada, the Netherlands, Japan, Spain, Italy, France and the United Kingdom. U.S. punishes Iranian drone manufacturers and suppliers to Russia. The U.S. Treasury has imposed sanctions against Iran's drone production and supply companies to Russia, Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. Oksana Markarova said. According to Markarova, the sanctions apply to the entire chain, from development and production to the purchase and use of Iranian drones. Sanctions have also been imposed against Wagner PMC criminals who are involved in the purchase and use of drones against Ukraine. The sanctions apply to all international companies involved in the transfer of drones to the Russian Federation, the ambassador added. Biden made a statement on the missile attack on Poland. The U.S. president, after an emergency meeting with world leaders in Bali, made a comment to reporters. Asked if the missile was fired from Russia, Biden said, "There is preliminary information that questions this. I don't want to talk about it until we do a full investigation. But based on the trajectory, it is unlikely that he has been liberated from Russia, but we will see." The Russian Federation covered Nikopol with grads and heavy artillery. In the Dnipropetrovsk region at night, Russian invaders covered the cities and night towns with grads with heavy artillery. As the chairman of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, Valentin Reznichenko, noted on Telegram, the night was tense in the Nikopol region. The occupiers attacked three communities, Marganets, Nikopol, and Chervona Grigorivska. They covered the cities and night towns with grads with heavy artillery, Reznichenko said. He said there were no deaths or injuries. In Nikopol, Russian shells hit 10 private houses. Buildings, cars, a gas pipeline and power lines were damaged. A fire broke out in one of the houses. Firefighters have already calmed the flames, the report says. Joe Biden responded to Donald Trump's announcement of the upcoming presidential nomination. In a short video posted on Twitter, the current U.S. president recalled the achievements of his predecessor, including targeting the economy for the rich, record unemployment, attacking the healthcare system, flirting with extremists, attacking women's rights, etc. Donald Trump has failed America, Biden captioned the video. In Poland after possible crash of two missed missiles near Ukrainian border. At least 2 people have died in the Polish town of Przywidło, in the province of Lublin, near the border with Ukraine, after the possible impact of 2 stray rockets, according to local radio station Radio Z. According to unofficial information from the station itself, the missiles could have hit grain dryers in Przywidło. Agents of the police, the prosecutor's office and the Polish army are already at the scene. Earlier, Marcin Lewidowics, spokesman for the Rubieszow Fire Brigade, some 35 kilometers north of Przywidło, had confirmed that the town had been the scene of explosions whose causes are still unknown. "We have received a notification of an explosion in the drying yard. In fact, as soon as we arrived, we confirmed that something like this happened. 2 people died on the spot. At the moment we are securing the scene and lighting the area of the action," he told Radio Lublin. Within the framework of this incident, the Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, has convened the National Security and Defense Committee of the Council of Ministers of an extraordinary nature, according to what the government spokesman, Piotr Muller, has announced on Twitter. Video of the arrival of the rocket. Time of arrival of the Russian missile in Poland. The Polish president calls a meeting of the National Security Council on November 16 at 12 o'clock currently. A group of Polish military experts has arrived at the site of the explosion. The Russian missiles hit the Polish village of Przewadów right next to the power line connecting the EU with Ukraine, near the Dobrodvor power station in Ukraine, a major energy hub. The work of the Ukrainian air defense system S-300 of the Ukrainian Air Force. This is how the S-300 anti-aircraft system works by the Ukrainian Air Force. For those who like to guess the type of rocket from a small fragment, we suggest looking at these photos. S-300 solid propellant rocket motors, fragments of the downed caliber rocket, Alder rockets, and remains of the Kh-55 rocket.
Rusos en su territorio. Habría sido aquí, a pocos kilómetros de esa frontera con Ucrania. A esta hora las versiones todavía no están claras.
Article 4. The parties will consult when, in the opinion of any of them, there is a threat to the territorial integrity, political independence or security of any of the parties. Polish President Andrzej Duda spoke by phone with U.S. President Joe Biden. Marcin Zaborowski, an advisor to the Polish Senate, said there would be a NATO military response if the accident was intentional. The Polish government has decided to increase the combat readiness of the army after an explosion near the border with Ukraine, probably caused by falling Russian missiles, the spokesman for the Polish government Piotr Muller. In turn, the NATO countries currently consult among themselves. All the facts will be established, said NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg. Canada pledges millions of dollars to Ukraine and applies more sanctions to Russia. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Saturday that Canada will provide an additional $100 million in aid to alleviate the ongoing refugee and humanitarian crisis sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This is a time when the world needs to come together, to stand up for Ukraine and to stand up for our values and principles, Trudeau said in a speech from Ottawa at the close of a virtual global campaign to raise funds to help Ukraine. The event, co-hosted by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, culminated on Saturday with funding pledges for a value of $12.4 billion from various countries to help cope with the crisis. Funds pledged by Canada will be channeled through humanitarian agencies. This humanitarian funding comes on top of new pledges made last week in the federal budget, which included $500 million in military aid, as well as an offer of an additional $1 billion in loans to Ukraine. Trudeau also highlighted changes to Canada's immigration system that are intended to help Ukrainians fleeing the conflict find refuge in this country. These changes include additional charter flights, short-term financial support, temporary hotel accommodation and further integration assistance. In a call made on Saturday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Trudeau for his participation in the fundraiser. Both leaders also condemned the recent Russian actions and called on Moscow to end the war in Ukraine. Sean Fraser, Canada's immigration minister, said Saturday that by early last week, more than 12,000 Ukrainians had arrived in Canada since the beginning of the year. As of last week, Canada had received more than 112,000 applications for an accelerated program to come to Canada, and some 30,000 applications have already been approved. Fraser also explained that Ottawa had already suspended biometric data collection, a key part of the process, for some low-risk groups, such as those under 18, those over 60 and some people who had previously obtained a Canadian visa. Nearly 4.5 million Ukrainians have fled their country since Russia launched an invasion on February 24, according to the United Nations. More than half of them are in Poland, where the fundraising event took place on Saturday.
Remind you to subscribe to the channel to let you know when posting a new video. Click on the red button and also the little bell. Give us a like, that's free. And let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you and until the next video.